You are asleep when the dogs begin barking. At first, nobody worries too much about it. Dogs bark at everything. A fox near the chickens. A drunk neighbor walking home in the dark. That one goat who always escapes the fence because apparently goats in the Viking Age were just tiny furry criminals. Outside, the night air is cold and wet. The village rests beside the sea under a heavy blanket of fog. Small homes made of wood and straw sit quietly along the shore. Smoke from dying fires curls into the sky. Somewhere in the distance, waves roll slowly against the rocks. It should feel peaceful, but then the barking gets louder. A moment later, somebody screams. You wake suddenly. For one confused second, you think maybe the roof is collapsing. Then you hear feet running outside. Panicked. A baby crying. Men shouting. And then comes the sound that nobody in Northern Europe wanted to hear. There's lots of them. Steady. Rhythmic. Cutting through the dark water like giant wooden insects. By the time you stumble to the doorway, the longships are already there. Dark shapes slide through the fog near the beach. Dragon head carvings rise at the front of the ships. Torches flicker orange against wet wood. Warriors jump into shallow water and rush toward the village with axes and spears in their hands. The raid has begun. Now, when most people imagine Viking raids today, they picture giant battles from movies. Loud music. Hero speeches. Slow-motion sword fights where everyone somehow has perfect teeth. Real raids were not like that. Real Viking raids were fast. Terrifyingly fast. The goal was surprise. Vikings often attacked before sunrise because sleepy people are very bad at defending villages. Especially before coffee was invented. Within minutes, homes could be burning. People rush in every direction around you. Some grab tools. Others grab children. A few try to fight back with farming knives or with axes meant for chopping trees, not stopping armored raiders. It usually does not help much. The Vikings move like they have done this many times before. Because they have. One group heads straight for the food storage buildings. Another kicks open doors searching for valuables. Another begins tying up prisoners. That part matters. Because dead people cannot be sold. And slaves are worth silver. You run toward the tree line with several others from the village. Bare feet slam against wet dirt. Your lungs burn from the cold air. Behind you, flames spread from roof to roof. Sparks float upward into the black sky. Then someone grabs your arm. You hit the ground face first. Mud fills your mouth. Before you can even turn around, rough hands yank your wrists behind your back. A rope bites into your skin. Just like that, your old life is over. And honestly, it happened faster than most people lose their phone today. Around you, others are captured too. Some cry. Some scream names into the smoke. One older man tries to fight back and gets hit so hard he stops moving entirely. The Vikings work quickly. They are not here to stay long. Coastal raids depended on speed. Arrive fast. Take valuables. Take people. Leave before local fighters arrive. Simple. Brutal. Effective. You are pushed toward the beach with a line of prisoners. The village behind you crackles with fire now. Thick smoke rises into the early morning sky. The smell of burned wood mixes with salt air and wet seaweed. Children cry beside their mothers. Some people pray quietly. Others stare ahead in shock, unable to fully understand what is happening. The Vikings barely speak to you. To them, this is work. Historians believe raids like this happened across large parts of Europe for centuries. England, Ireland, Scotland, parts of France, Eastern Europe. Wherever rivers or coastlines allowed longships to travel, Viking raiders could appear. And they often did. The longships themselves were part of the terror. These boats were fast, light, and flexible. They could cross open seas but also travel surprisingly far inland through rivers. A village could feel safe one day and wake up to armed strangers the next. Which is not a great way to start the morning. As dawn slowly arrives, you finally see the raiders more clearly. Some wear chainmail. Most do not. Despite what movies show, many Vikings were not covered head to toe in expensive armor. A lot of them looked more like rough farmers carrying weapons. Because many actually were farmers carrying weapons. But that did not make them less dangerous. Years of hard living in the cold north made them strong. Raids made them experienced, and fear itself often helped them win before a fight even started. You are shoved into a longship beside several other captives. The wood rocks beneath you. The sea smells cold and endless. Nearby, a Viking sailor casually eats dried fish while your entire world collapses around you, which somehow feels rude. The ropes around your wrists tighten as more prisoners are loaded aboard. You look back toward the shore one last time. Your home is disappearing behind smoke. The only life you have ever known is fading into the distance already. And the worst part is this: you still do not know where you are going. Around you, the oars begin moving again. Slowly, steadily, the village becomes smaller and smaller behind the morning fog. Nobody speaks much now. There is only the sound of water, the creaking of wood, the cries of frightened prisoners, and somewhere ahead in the cold northern world, a future waiting for you that will be far harder than death in battle. Because surviving life as a Viking slave did not begin with chains. It began with losing everything before sunrise. The sea voyage feels endless. Cold spray hits your face as the longship cuts through gray water. Your hands are stiff from rope burns. Your stomach twists every time the ship rises over another wave. Around you, the other prisoners sit quietly. Nobody really knows what to say. There is an old fisherman staring blankly at the horizon. A young mother holding her child close under a wool blanket. Two brothers whispering to each other in a language the Vikings probably do not understand. Not that it matters much now. Out here, everyone speaks the same language anyway. The Viking crew moves around the ship calmly. They adjust ropes, check sails, laugh at jokes you cannot understand. One man hums while sharpening a knife, which is honestly the least relaxing sound possible right now. But something slowly becomes clear. These men do not hate you. To them, this is business. You are cargo. Human cargo, yes. But still cargo. And that idea becomes very real when the ship finally reaches land. The harbor is crowded with noise and movement. Traders unload barrels of fish, bundles of fur, and stacks of timber. Smoke rises from cooking fires near the shore. You smell salt water, mud, sweat, and roasting meat all at once. The town itself is busy and rough-looking. Wooden buildings lean slightly sideways like they are tired from surviving too many winters. People move through muddy streets wrapped in wool cloaks and animal skins. Nobody seems shocked to see prisoners arriving. That is the unsettling part. This is normal. The Vikings push you off the ship and line everyone up near the docks. A man walks down the row inspecting prisoners one by one. He checks teeth, arms, shoulders. He presses fingers against muscles like somebody shopping for livestock. Because he basically is. If you are healthy, strong, and young, you are valuable. If you are old, injured, or sick, well, the Viking Age was not exactly famous for kindness. One prisoner nearby starts crying loudly. A guard smacks him across the face without even looking annoyed. Just tired, like a worker fixing a small problem during a long shift. The crying stops. You quickly learn something important about slavery in the Viking world. The goal was control. And control starts by breaking people down piece by piece. First comes your freedom, then your belongings, then your future, and finally your identity. A woman steps forward carrying a knife and a pair of rough scissors. One by one, prisoners are forced onto wooden stools. Hair falls into the mud. Long hair could show beauty, pride, or status in many cultures. Cutting it away was humiliating, visible, permanent for the moment. When your turn comes, rough hands shove you down. The scissors scrape close against your scalp. Chunks of hair tumble onto your shoulders and fall to the ground. Nobody explains anything to you. Nobody needs to. The message is obvious. You belong to someone else now. Historians believe Viking slaves were usually called thralls. In Old Norse society, thralls sat at the very bottom of the social order. Below free farmers. Below warriors. Below basically everyone. A thrall could be bought, sold, punished, traded, inherited, in some cases even given away as a gift. Imagine getting wrapped for somebody's birthday. Not ideal. The strange thing is that Viking society did not really see this as shocking. Slavery existed across much of the medieval world. Vikings were not unique for owning slaves. They were just very active participants in the business. Raids brought captives from England, Ireland, Scotland, Slavic lands, and beyond. Some people were kidnapped during attacks. Others became slaves because of debt or crime. In hard times, a person might even sell themselves into slavery simply to survive famine, which tells you how terrible famine must have been. Children could become thralls too. Sometimes entire families disappeared into slavery together. Sometimes families were separated forever within hours. And once you entered this world, escaping it became incredibly difficult. You are marched deeper into town with several others. People glance at you as they pass, but most do not stare for long. Again, this is ordinary life here. A blacksmith wipes sweat from his forehead and barely looks up. A group of children run past laughing. A woman buying fish argues loudly over prices while chained prisoners stand 10 feet away. Human beings are strangely good at getting used to awful things. Eventually, you arrive at a large wooden building near the market square. Inside, the air smells like smoke, damp straw, and too many unwashed bodies. This is where the prisoners stay before being sold, or traded, or transported somewhere else entirely. The room is crowded already. Some captives sit silently against the walls. Others whisper prayers. One man stares at the floor so completely still that he almost looks carved from stone. Nobody knows what comes next. That uncertainty eats at people. During the night, you overhear bits of conversation from nearby guards. One prisoner may be sent north to a farm. Another might work loading cargo ships. A young woman could end up inside a wealthy household. Someone else may be sold far away through Viking trade routes stretching deep into Eastern Europe and the Islamic world. The Viking trade network was enormous. Silver coins from the Middle East have been found buried in Scandinavia centuries later. Human beings moved along these same routes like any other product. Furs, walrus ivory, weapons, people, all bought and sold. The hours pass slowly inside the crowded hall. You try to sleep but cannot. Every cough makes you jump. Every footstep near the door tightens your chest. And through all of it, one painful truth settles into your mind. Your old life is already fading. Your home feels far away now, almost unreal. Even your name feels weaker somehow, because nobody here uses it anymore. To the traders outside, you are not a farmer, fisherman, daughter, son, or neighbor. You are a body that can work, a pair of hands, a price. And in the Viking world, once people stopped seeing you as human, surviving became much harder than simply staying alive.